Come on, baby. I gave it ample cycles without overdoing it, just because. Oh no, that's not good. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Novichenko Whips YouTube channel. This is going to be a part 2 video of our newly purchased BMW 650i Gran Coupe with the N63 notorious problematic engine. And maybe this video will be a confirmation to that statement. Notoriously problematic. Tune in. If you're new, please subscribe. We're doing a lot of BMW stuff on this channel here nowadays, and you're going to see some exciting stuff about high mileage V8 twin turbo BMWs. Super simply, I was able to take off the air boxes. Not much effort at all. Honestly, so far so good. All these PCV hoses are still malleable and not extremely hard. That's a good sign. That means that there's not too many vacuum or air leaks going on, because these, when they become brittle, they would crack, and there's almost like these invisible air leaks that evolve. What I'm going to do is pull off these charge pipes, take off the inlets. I think this inlet has a little too much play, so we're going to figure out a replacement or a way to seal it up. That one has less play. We're going to take off things off the top. We're going to replace these hoses or improve the clamping of these hoses. Just make sure they're actually coolant rated. Like this one's nice and thick. These are kind of soft, so I don't know if they're rated for that heat and the coolant. Anyway, we're gonna free up this area, and then we see cylinder 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 2 is the problematic one, and then number 7 on that end. So they're actually pretty accessible. I could pull out these coil packs and pull out the spark plugs and see what's up without going too crazy in depth. Maybe I'll do that first. So I pulled off the charge pipes. They're quite clean, and the blow-by in the coolers looks minimal. There's a tiny bit of oil, but all of that is acceptable for these engines and these PCV systems. So far, so good. The reason I'm pulling all this off is I want to clean off all this residue. Inspect the inlets. I'm going to pull off the inlets so I can see the turbine wheels on the turbos, make sure they're not chipped or pitted, and make sure there's no flop in them. While we're in here, might as well just look at everything. For the spark plugs, get yourself a slim 14 mil 12-sided spark plug tool, good with a magnet. So luckily for my M5, I had purchased some NGK Iridium IR. This is what I run in all my NGK is what I run in all my cars, and the Iridium spark. And so I pulled out the old plug, some kind of brand I've never heard about, Champion. The plug looks, I don't know. I'm not an expert on spark plugs. Maybe a little bit fouled. The gap is getting there. It's pretty big. Like here's the new one. Check out that gap. Let it focus. Yeah, much smaller gap. So fresh NGK. I'm just doing this on cylinder 2 and 7 to see if the misfires go away, right? It's diagnostics at this point. Yes, I will go change everything later. If the misfire does not go away, we will check injector, which is a little bit more difficult and more work. And then these high pressure fuel pumps are known to go wonky, like they're mechanically driven off of the valve train. That could be a thing, but honestly, let's see. This might fix it, might not. And here comes out spark plug number 7. Please focus. I'm trying to get it for you guys. Here you go. So yeah, I mean, a lot of miles on it, but it's not abused. It's not black. It's not white. It's just used. So we'll see. I'm putting in new spark plugs. Putting in the current coil packs just for diagnosis sake to prove to myself what it is. If the misfire is still there, I'm putting in a couple of new coil packs. And if the misfire goes away, voila, we're good. But I have a set of new coil packs and new spark plugs. So eventually, you know, like tomorrow, gonna do them all. You guys ready? Here goes something, right? We're gonna fire her up and see what she says to us. Still has the check engine. That might be from learned codes, old codes. I don't know. Let me touch it. Still a slight vibration. A little bit of back and forth. I kind of put these back without clamping them just for the sake of starting it up. I'll pull codes from it and I'll let you know what it's. Oh, I know why. I disconnected the MAF sensors. No wonder it'll run a little bit rough. We need the MAF sensors back in. 1 sec. Boom, 3 minutes later, intake's back on, MAF sensors connected. Let's see if she idles more happy in this config. Scooch it down. Come on, baby. Still a slight shimmy. I definitely need to clear all the codes and then try again. I don't know if it'll just go away on its own. Okay, auto scan done. I think it's still the same codes, and I think I'm gonna put on some new coil packs right now. Honestly, by the condition how those plugs looked, maybe the coil packs were toast. This is actually not bad. I don't see any misfires on that DME1. Let's look at DME2. DME2. So maybe I just need to reset everything from scratch. What's going on here? DME2, cylinder 2, misfire, cylinder 7 still. Okay, let's cancel all this. Quick erase everything. And then we'll start the car again. Yeah, it looks like we still have our misfire. We're gonna read the code one more time. Let's go back from the live data. Read codes. So, a couple cylinders misfiring, yada yada. Okay, let me do a coil pack. I should have probably done it right away, honestly. All right, new plugs are in. The old ones are laying over there. Let's give her one more shot, or we're gonna call it a day and just look at it further tomorrow. We've looked at a lot of things for one day. Come on, baby. Still some misfires. We'll look into it further. It's Tuesday morning, and I was helping a buddy diagnose an issue with his car a few days ago, and it dawned on me. I'm like, wait, I've had a misfire, rough running issue in a previous car before when I bought it, and I had the hardest time figuring out what it is because I had changed so many things and it kept going on. And it ended up being an alternator because, as you saw when I was driving this home, it ran really rough until you get to around 3,000 RPM, and then it ran smooth as butter, like perfectly fine. And it could be the alternator. Look at this thing. It's got residue, like oil residue on it, on the back of it. It could be alternator or the voltage regulator that was getting oil, sorry, not oil, coolant droplets on it, and it pretty much, you know, shorted out or gave up. Whatever, getting liquid on it, it's probably not good. It's a main electrical component or generator in the car. So I'm optimistic. I ordered one. It's on the way. I also ordered a new kit for these coolant lines because might as well replace it and make it nicer. And so, yeah, today we're going to pull out this alternator. Should be pretty straightforward with all the peripherals. And we're going to go get a new one in. All right, so I took out coolant out of there, fixed the coolant level in there. So before usually you remove hoses and you're not gonna remember what it is, take a picture, because then you could search up online. But if it's a rare maintenance item or part, there might not be a readily available picture for your car, or just something could vary. So take a pic and then go and remove stuff. Now that the lines are removed, you can see kind of how crusty it is all around here because of these lines that were leaking continually. So I'll take that in, I'll get it tested, see if it's still okay or not. I was gonna remove the battery negative, but I remembered on my car when I changed the oil, I wanted to prime the engine. And maybe this is a quick and easy way for me to check compression on this car. We might as well do that as well really quick since I have the tools. So to have the engine turn over, you keep that positive, but you remove these plugs, note where they go, and then when you're going to go to hit the ignition, the car will cycle, but it won't start with the fueling and the ignition and stuff. So with those removed, and I know a lot of things under the hood are not perfect, but technically we'll see if the car will turn over. Okay, so it's doing what I want it to. You see that? And then, so this is a nice way to hit your, put in your compression tester, cycle the engine, and see if it's building compression. We'll do that quickly. If you're going to be doing a lot of it, put a trickle charger on or an actual charger so that you don't drain the battery. But also don't cycle it that crazy amount. Like, don't cycle it too long because you could burn out your starter. And imagine reaching the starter in this car. You got to be nice to it. For a compression test, you need a kit like this. And, you know, there's different sizes of plugs that go into cars. I believe the one I have on here is already correct. We'll compare it with the threads on the smallest one should fit, because those are definitely some thin plugs that go in there, similar to what we do on the Subarus. So yeah, let's do cylinder 2 and 7, because those are the ones showing misfire. And if the compression is fine, I'm banking on the alternator. All right, I had to do the special adapter for this, you know, European thread, but pretty much you kind of fish it in there, hand tighten, it should work. And so here's the gauge. Cylinder 7 was just easier to access right now. You guys are gonna see it first because I'm the one that's gonna be cranking over the engine, and you're gonna be watching this climb up. The engine is cold. I think hot, a good compression is like well above 150, but cold, I don't know. As long as it's not like under 100, I think we'll be safe. Okay, let me go grab that key. You guys ready? I'm kind of nervous, but hopefully that needle starts moving pretty good. Ready? Well, something popped off, so there must have been compression. I've never had that happen, but it shows 100, and it popped off at 100. So I think we're in a good place already. Let's try that again. Oops. 100 is pretty good so far. What are we at? Please be like 150. Oh yeah, this is awesome. So 150 cold, this is great. So cylinder 7 is a good one. Let's pull this out of here and go do number 2. This tool is very useful. Some engines, it's harder to get to do. It's harder to get to the cylinder. Like on a V6, V8, it's right up here. It's pretty simple. Like a Subaru engine, it's a little more work to get in there. I'll put the spark plug back and we'll go to the other side. All right, number 2. With the beamers, right? The plug comes out. I use a little screwdriver or something to fish out these coil packs. Sometimes they get nice and snug in there. So you gotta persuade them a little. Guten tight. German torque specs. And of course our narrow 14 mil 12-sided. So I'm coming to the realization I probably don't even need new coil packs or spark plugs right now. In general, diagnosing this issue, so far changing plugs and coil packs has not changed anything. The compression is good in number 7. If compression is good in number 2, I think I'm banking on the alternator giving out faulty voltage. If it's not the alternator, we're moving on to fuel, which is injectors and high pressure fuel pump. But you know, there's only so many things that could go wrong, right? And then if it's not any of those, it's some kind of wiring or grounds that have probably come loose, and that's what I would inspect next. Of course, the plug is new because we just changed that. So I'll show you. Fish this guy in there carefully. I like to spin to the left first, and then you can hear the little tap or tick sound when it hits the ridge. And so then you just give it a nice little, like that. Doesn't need to be torqued down. There's a rubber seal on there. And so let's check our gauge now for cylinder 2. Do you guys think it's going to be okay? Can you see this okay? It might move as soon as it starts getting air in there. I'll get you a better view. Okay guys, last one. Please be good. Come on, baby. I gave it ample cycles without overdoing it, just because, oh no, that's not good. Yikes. I'm scared. You know what? Could this turn into an engine out procedure? Maybe. We might be zero compress on cylinder 2, ladies and gentlemen, and that means that we're going to need to do some fun engine work on an N63TU or replace the engine. You know, they sell these used all the time, but I'm not going to give up just yet. Give me one more try. We don't want to give up just yet. Interesting. Come on. Give me something. Come on. Nope. Well, I think we found the true issue. There's no compression in cylinder 2. Thus, all the N63 stories are true. So it seems. But you know what? We are not the faint of heart to give up on something. So welcome to the N63 rebuild series all of a sudden. I'm happy. It's okay. I went into this with the argument that I might have to pull out the engine. And so, worst comes to worst, we're most likely going to have to do that. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you next time when we start the pretty much full disassembly, because that's what it's going to need. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe and comment if you have any fun comments about your N63 experiences, guys. Take care. Wow. All right, my friends, we have gotten ourselves yet another useful tool for the garage. Industrial endoscope. Got to get that endoscopy done. Good thing it's only for the car. That would be the wrong YouTube channel. So this thing is on Amazon, like 20 bucks. It arrived super fast, and I've already downloaded the app. I really like what they've done here. They have a camera in the front and a camera on the side, so you can look both at the top of the cylinder where the valves are and the head is, and also at your piston rings and probably piston walls. So I'm going to record my screen, but what you're going to see is the recording of what I will be seeing inside of there. Let's see what's going on in there. I'm gonna guess the intake valve is either really crudded up with deposits, carbon deposits, because direct injection, or it's a burnt exhaust valve. But people say, right, it could be anything. It could be a piston ring. So hopefully no crazy scratches on the walls, or else, you know, for sure we're coming out. Seems like anyway, this engine's coming out now. So as you saw, the piston rings and the walls looked okay. But as soon as I turned it to that side camera and spun it around, the exhaust valves looked okay. The intake valves, you saw how much carbon was on there. It was just like chunks. So again, I don't want to pull the engine out. I wish I could deal with that stuff without having to pull the engine out, of course. And it doesn't take a lot of a gap on a valve to have no compression. Like, I think it's like, I don't even know, 0.5 millimeter, and you're gonna lose all that. So, GDI valve cleaner. I'm gonna spray it in there. I don't know, I'm not necessarily gonna flood the cylinder, but I'm putting a lot in there. I'm gonna let it stand for a bit. I kind of want to try and get that cylinder to top dead center, so I don't need to put a lot of it in. It's kind of right now midway. As you saw, I had to actually, you know, go up and down with the camera. And so I'm going to spray a bunch of this in, let it sit there, and then I'm going to try and vacuum it out with a shop vac and a very thin vacuum tube, and then blow it out with a air compressor and a super thin air compressor needle gun, because I just want to see if I can get this cylinder to have compression without taking off the head and going through, you know, the head and the valves and stuff. So we're kind of just like playing around, experimenting at this point, because high mileage engine, this is what they warn us about: crud on the intakes valves. Give it a good shake, point it down in there as far as you can, and I'm the kind of guy that I would leave that open and like turn over the engine and let that go all over the place, if you know what I'm saying, right? I would not try to turn on the car, because that'll just be way too fast of a revolution. but like cranking the engine, it'll slosh this stuff all up in there and hopefully hit the spots. So let's see. Let me know if you see something shooting out of there. I'll review the footage. Looks like something was coming out. Grab a compressor. This is the longest little nozzle that I have. I'll just try to reach in there. What I'm trying to do is kind of stir a lot of this stuff that I sprayed in there for it to whip up and go on the valves, right? Same thing I'm trying to do with cycling the ignition. We're gonna do this a number of times, and then I'm actually gonna put back the connections to let the car fire up, but we're gonna leave this cylinder open, and it's gonna be moving a lot faster once the car starts, but that's gonna clear out the valves and that chamber even more vigorously. I'm just trying to go slow at first. I think we're getting somewhere. So that napkin was lodged, not packed in there. It was just laying on top of there. And this time I turned over the engine and it shot out. You know what that's telling me? The compression is coming back. I am going to be so excited if we don't need to do anything other than just more thoroughly clean this all out. I probably should cover this fender so we don't get valve cleaner constantly all over it, but I won't be surprised if we see some compression if we test it here soon. Let me see if I can capture more of that for you here. Pretty much added more of that. Close that up. And see if we can get another shot out of there. Wow. Guess not this time, but you'll have to take my word for it. It looked pretty cool when it flew out. You guys ready to fire up the engine and see what happens? Hopefully nothing goes extremely wrong, but keep your eyes peeled. Something might fly out of there and hit you. We've cleaned it out. I've dried it out, blown it out. It should be okay. Let's try this. Come on, baby. Blue smoke out the back, but that's what this stuff actually does. So I think it's doing its job. Check out the smoke blowing out the back. We're just gonna do one more cycle. I want it to clear up in there, and we're gonna test compression. Here goes. Actually not as bad as the first time. Probably a lot of it is already cleared out. I just wanted to run it one more time because if I put my compression tester on there, understand that liquid does not compress the same way as air or gas. And so if you screw that on there, it might lie to you because there was still some of this liquid in there, the ORC valve cleaner. So I wanted to run it twice. Now we're compression testing. We're all set up. Again, I am not gonna let the engine run. I pulled out those 3 plugs on the battery, so it's just gonna allow the starter to turn it over. But I have a good feeling that we're gonna see compression now. Come on. All right. Please be something. Oh, still 0. Man, it was worth a try. I put the spark plug back in the coil. I just want to turn it over with everything reassembled and see if I feel any difference whatsoever in how the car runs. You never know, it might take some heat, some cycles. Let's see what happens. Yeah, it's still saying drivetrain. I'm sure a lot of this is related to the MAFs being taken off. I don't even have the charge pipes on. But I'm gonna let it idle here for a minute, see if anything changes. Just gonna let it idle for a few more minutes. This smoke is definitely because of the ORC stuff. I could possibly even put a little more in there just through the open coolers. I don't know, might help the other valves slightly, but honestly this car probably needs a full valve clean. Like you need to probably clean out every cylinder individually with what we just did to number 2. Well, it's letting me rev it a little bit. Now that I've been spraying that ORC in there, I probably should raise the RPMs just a little bit. And so the smoke's not bad out the back. It's gonna do this for a little bit. I'm not giving up, guys. I don't think we need to take out this engine. I think we just need to make her work. Oops, I forgot that these little coolant lines are off, so I probably dunked a little coolant down there. That's okay. I was gonna throw everything back together, go for a quick drive, and I thought, why not take out the charcoal filters out of these intakes? I didn't realize that the particulate was so small, but this whole piece comes out. So watch. But like aftermarket, I'm sure they make a piece that fits in here and it's bigger for more airflow. Interesting why they did that. She's back together, quick and easy. We're just gonna fire it up, see if there's any changes. All right. See if things even out. Engine's still vibrating a little bit, but we'll go for a quick spin just around the block. Super short segment. I initially thought there might be a injector that's bad, and so with the BMWs, especially this engine, you have to determine which injector you have because they come in a Euro 5 and Euro 6. So for example, this car needs a EU 6 injector. When you go purchase them, that's very important because they kind of did the switch mid-year, mid-run on many cars. And you can't tell unless you look at the injector, which is hidden away, or have a scan tool or the ISTA BMW tool. I kind of got another clue from running the car again and looking at my diagnostic tool. Something cylinder 1 knock. And so I haven't touched cylinder 1, but I should. Pull out the plug, pull out the coil pack. Let's see if that looks any way off than the 2 and 7 that have looked okay. While I was in here, I was like, hey, I'm gonna warm up the F10 because I haven't started it in a long time. And I checked all the same parameters on the Autel scanner in terms of cylinder roughness and running. And the cylinder roughness values need to be in a negative voltage. The bank 1 right here, this whole side on this car though, even though cylinder 2 is the highest, most of them run at a positive. And so I'm still gonna try a couple things. I think I have a high pressure fuel pump in the mail, so I'm gonna try to replace it, start it up. You know, these are kind of like easy things to replace and try. Hopefully after more cycles and cleaning with valve cleaner, we can get cylinder 2 to compress with some compression. If not, I mean, honestly, we're pulling the engine and we're going on another adventure. Long video today, long day. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, before we call it a night, I'm gonna try one last ditch effort. This Marvel Mystery Oil is really good treatment for engines and stuff, and I've soaked like cylinders in it before to get rid of crud. And I think what I can do is just put a bunch in there and let it stand overnight, and we're gonna come back to it tomorrow, but that'll be in the next episode. Thanks again, guys, for tuning in and hanging with me. If you have an N63TU, don't buy one with 185,000 miles on it, unless you want to work on it and you get it really cheap. See you in the next one.